Welcome to our 2024 presidential election showdown. It's Donald Trump versus Kamala Harris in a race that's closer than ever. Today, we're diving into the latest polling data from all 50 states to see who's leading and where the key battlegrounds lie. We'll break down the numbers state by state and explore what they mean for each candidate's path to victory. Georgia is a tight race, with Trump leading Harris by 1%, holding 49% of the vote compared to Harris's 47%. It's still very competitive here. Michigan shows a slight edge for Harris, leading Trump by 1%, with 48% of the vote to Trump's 47%. The battle continues in the Midwest. Nevada is another close state where Trump leads Harris by 1%, securing 47% of the votes against Harris's 46%. It's anyone's game. North Carolina is a crucial battleground where Trump leads by a slim margin, holding 49% against Harris's 48%. This race is heating up. In Maryland, Harris has a commanding lead over Trump by 28%, garnering 61% of the votes, while Trump holds just 33%. It's a solid win for her. New Hampshire favors Harris, who leads Trump by 6% with 50% of the vote compared to Trump's 44%. It's looking good for Harris here. Tennessee shows strong support for Trump, who leads Harris by 21%, holding 56% of the votes compared to Harris's 35%, a solid advantage for him. Montana is a strong Trump state where he leads Harris by 19%, capturing 58% of the vote to her 39%. His support is robust here. Virginia sees a tight race where Harris is ahead of Trump by 8%, with 50% of the vote against Trump's 42%. This state is competitive. In Iowa, Trump leads Harris by 6%, with 50% of the votes compared to her 44%, a crucial win for Trump in this swing state. North Dakota is heavily in Trump's favor, leading Harris by 29%, with 59% of the votes to her 30%. His support is strong in this state. South Carolina shows Trump leading Harris by 10%, holding 52% of the vote compared to her 42%, a favorable state for Trump. Indiana is another solid Trump state, where he leads Harris by 16%, with 56% of the votes against Harris's 40%. He's doing well here. Nebraska District 2. In Nebraska District 2, Harris leads Trump by 9%, capturing 51% of the vote, while Trump holds 42%. This district is leaning her way. Delaware favors Harris, who leads Trump by 18%, with 55% of the vote against his 37%. A strong showing for her in this state. Maine District 2 sees Trump leading Harris by 9%, with 49% of the vote compared to her 40%. He's holding a lead here. In Pennsylvania, Harris leads Trump by 1%, with 48% of the votes, compared to Trump's 47%, a highly contested battleground state. Arizona is another crucial battleground where Trump leads with 2%, holding 49% of the vote, compared to Harris's 47%. It's anyone's race here. Kansas shows strong support for Trump, leading Harris by 16%, with 55% of the votes against her 39%, a solid win for Trump. Kentucky is heavily in Trump's favor, with a 30% lead, holding 62% of the vote, compared to Harris's 32%. His support is significant here. Louisiana shows Trump leading by 22%, holding 59% against Harris's 37%. His popularity remains strong in this state. Illinois is a solid state for Harris, who leads Trump by 15%, with 55% of the votes compared to his 40%. She's in command here. Colorado favors Harris, who leads Trump by 11%, with 53% of the vote against Trump's 42%, a promising lead for her. Connecticut shows Harris leading Trump by 16%, capturing 57% of the vote, while Trump holds 41%, a strong advantage for her. In Arkansas, Trump leads Harris by 15%, holding 55% of the votes against her 40%. He maintains a solid lead here. Oklahoma is another state where Trump leads Harris by 16% with 56% of the votes compared to her 40%. He's holding strong. Nebraska shows Trump leading Harris by 17% with 54% of the vote against her 37%. His support is significant here. In New Mexico, Harris leads Trump by 7%, capturing 50% of the votes compared to Trump's 43%. This state is leaning her way. Oregon shows Harris leading Trump by 12% with 53% of the votes against Trump's 41%. A solid lead for her. Washington favors Harris, who leads Trump by 20% with 56% of the vote compared to his 36%. She's dominating here. Missouri is a strong Trump state, where he leads Harris by 12% with 54% of the votes compared to her 42%, a clear advantage for Trump. California is a significant state for Harris, leading Trump by 25% with 59% of the votes against his 34%. Her support is strong here. Minnesota shows a close race where Harris leads Trump by 7%, capturing 50% of the vote compared to his 43%, a competitive state. Hawaii is heavily in Harris's favor with a lead of 22%, holding 58% of the vote compared to Trump's 36%. She's doing well here. Idaho shows Trump leading Harris by 26% with 60% of the votes against her 34%. He has a strong base here. Wisconsin is a tie with both candidates at 48%. Harris leads by 1%, but it's too close to call. New York shows Harris leading Trump by 16% with 56% of the vote compared to his 40%. She's dominating this key state. In Maine District 1, Harris leads Trump by 23%, capturing 56% of the vote, while Trump holds 33%. It's a strong win for her. Florida shows Trump leading Harris by 7%, holding 51% of the votes compared to her 44%, a crucial state for his campaign. Maine sees Harris leading Trump by 7% with 48% of the vote against Trump's 41%. A competitive battle here. Utah shows Trump leading Harris by 16%, holding 54% of the vote compared to her 38%. A solid lead for him. West Virginia is heavily in Trump's favor, leading Harris by 27% with 61% of the vote to her 34%. He's dominating here. Vermont shows Harris with a commanding lead of 41%, holding 70% of the vote against Trump's 29%. It's a strong win for her. Alabama shows Trump leading Harris by 20% with 58% of the votes compared to her 38%. A solid advantage for him. Texas sees Trump leading by 6%, holding 52% of the vote against Harris's 46%. A critical state for the election. Mississippi is another strong Trump state, leading Harris by 27% with 61% of the vote compared to her 34%. He's doing well here. North Dakota shows Trump leading Harris by 29% with 59% of the vote against her 30%. His support remains strong. Rhode Island shows Harris leading Trump by 16%, holding 57% of the votes, while Trump has 41%, a solid advantage for her. In Alaska, Trump leads Harris by 7% with 50% of the votes compared to her 43%, a competitive state for both. Ohio is a tight race with Trump leading Harris by 6%, holding 51% against her 45%, a crucial battleground. South Dakota shows Trump leading Harris by 27%, with 61% of the votes compared to her 34%, a strong showing for him. Massachusetts is a strong state for Harris leading Trump by 29%, with 61% of the votes compared to his 32%, a commanding lead for her. And there you have it. The race for the White House is heating up, with close contests in many key battleground states. Will Trump secure a path to victory, or will Harris turn these polls into electoral votes? Only time will tell. Stay tuned to our channel for more updates, analysis, and results as we count down to Election Day. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for all the latest in the 2024 presidential.